Have you ever wondered why women sleep with some men instantly and reject others completely? Same room, same woman, same night. One man gets it all, her attention, her lips, her body. Another gets her silence, her polite rejection, maybe even a fake number and the cold shoulder. You stand there watching it happen. You gave her respect. He gave her indifference. You brought conversation. He brought tension. You wanted connection. She wanted his presence. This video is not for the comfortable. It's for those ready to know the truth for what it is. If you're tired of being confused, rejected, overlooked, it's time to understand female psychology like you never have before. Comment, truth over comfort, if you're ready to watch this video till the end. Number 1. She craves mystery. She doesn't want to figure you out. She wants to feel you out. A woman doesn't fall for the man who lays his whole soul bare in the first 10 minutes, explaining every detail of his past, showing every scar, confessing every insecurity. She doesn't crave the man who tries to win her with emotional exposure and long conversations about feelings. She craves the one she can't fully read. She craves mystery, not confusion, not chaos, not dishonesty, mystery. The kind of mystery that makes her wonder who you really are when you're quiet, when you're not trying, when you're simply being. Have you ever watched her lose interest the moment you start opening up too fast? Have you felt her body language shift when you got too eager, too vulnerable, too soon? That's not your imagination, it's biology. The feminine instinct is wired to chase presence, not emotional collapse. You were taught that the more open you are, the more she'll trust you. But openness without depth just makes you predictable. Predictability kills mystery. Mystery keeps her coming back. She wants to discover you, not be given a full emotional dossier on the first date. She wants to earn your depth over time. The man who holds back, not from fear but from strength, is the one she finds magnetic. The one who doesn't need to overshare, doesn't need her validation, doesn't need to spill every thought to get approval. He creates curiosity. He holds his silence like a weapon. He speaks when there's something worth saying, not when there's silence to fill. She wants to be drawn in, not dragged in. The man who keeps some parts of himself sacred builds tension, and tension is what makes her crave. You don't need to be cold. You don't need to play games. You need to be so full within yourself that you don't need to be constantly seen, known, and understood by her. You don't need to let her into every part of your world just because she shows a little interest. Stop giving away the mystery that makes her heart beat faster. Don't explain yourself. Let her observe. Let her piece you together. Let her ask. Let her wonder what you do when you're alone. Let her sit in the unknown. Let her earn your truth layer by layer. In today's world, men are becoming emotionally naked too quickly, and women are bored. They're not bored of love. They're bored of men who treat them like therapists instead of lovers. They're bored of men who trade mystery for emotional dumping. You're not supposed to hide. You're supposed to hold, and hold it well. Control your tongue. Let your actions speak. Be warm, but not overly accessible. Be kind, but not constantly available. Move with quiet confidence. Don't rush to fill silence. Let it stretch. She craves that moment where she's unsure what you're thinking. Not because you're playing games, but because your inner world is deeper than small talk. Show her she's not the center of your world. Your mission is, your peace is, your focus is. That makes her lean in. That makes her dream about you after you're gone. That makes her heart pound when your name pops up. Because she doesn't feel owned, she feels invited. And an invitation is infinitely more powerful than a presentation. Want to know why she slept with that man so quickly? Because he didn't chase. He didn't talk endlessly about how much he liked her. He didn't beg for connection. He gave her room to feel, and in that space, her desire grew. She couldn't stop thinking about him, wondering about him, imagining what being around him would feel like. That mystery pulled her in deeper than any love poem ever could. On the other hand, the man who shared too much too soon, who confessed too fast, who made her the center of his universe without her earning it, he lost her before he ever had her. You don't need to hide behind walls. You need to lead with presence. Let her earn your openness. Don't fear silence. Weaponize it. Let her come closer, not because you chase, but because you stayed still long enough to become irresistible. Your silence should be louder than noise. Your eyes should tell stories your mouth doesn't. Your energy should make her curious about your world. The man who is fully revealed too early gives her nothing to chase, nothing to explore, nothing to desire. She wants to fall in love with a journey, not a resume. So be that journey. Be the one she can't fully figure out. Be the one she feels deeper the more time she spends around. Be the one whose stillness speaks louder than her distractions. Speak less. Move with purpose. Be unpredictable, but grounded. Be intense, but centered. Let her know just enough to stay intrigued, but never enough to stop wondering. That is mystery. That is masculine power. That is how you stop chasing and start being chased. That is how you separate yourself from every other man flooding her DMs with empty validation and desperate attention. In this world where everyone is oversharing, over-talking, over-explaining, you become unforgettable when you're calm, composed, and mysterious. That's who she gives herself to. That's who she dreams about. That's who she sleeps with first. The man who leaves something for her imagination to explore. The man who makes her feel without saying too much. The man who shows her just enough to make her stay, but not enough to make her stop chasing. Because once she feels like she's figured you out, the chase dies. And when the chase dies, so does the desire. So give her something worth chasing. Give her that silence that feels like thunder. Give her that presence that stirs something deep in her soul. Give her that mystery that keeps her coming back for more. Number 2, your energy is loud. The moment you walk into a room, before you say a single word, before she even hears your name, she already knows whether you're a man she's drawn to or a man she'll politely forget. And this awareness isn't conscious. It's instinctual, primal, ancient, and rooted in her biology as deep as her breath. It's not the way you smile or your posture or even the confidence you pretend to radiate. It's your energy, and your energy speaks louder than every word you'll ever say, because she doesn't need a sentence to know who you are. She needs a second, just one, to feel the truth of you. And if you think you can trick her with your job title, your smooth talk, your cologne, your clever DMs, or your designer shoes, you're already lost, because women aren't reading your resume. They're reading your nervous system, and your nervous system never lies. Have you ever walked up to a woman and felt like she was slipping away before you even started speaking? That's not in your head. That's your energy telling her that you're unsure of yourself, that you're searching for something outside of you to validate what's missing inside. And in that instant, you become invisible. Not because you're not good enough, but because you don't even believe you're enough. And she can feel that like gravity, like heat, like a warning sign. Your energy is your truth, and whether you've mastered it or not, it's already working for you or against you, already attracting or repelling, already communicating everything about your identity, your worth, your direction, your frame, and your certainty, without needing a single syllable. The man she's drawn to doesn't talk his value. He radiates it. He walks with it. He wears it in his silence. And his silence isn't awkward. It's anchored. It's heavy in the best way. It says, I know who I am, and I don't need you to mirror it back to me. The most magnetic man in the room is not the one who talks the most. He's the one who speaks least, but is felt most. His energy doesn't shout, it commands. and she feels it instantly. She turns toward it even when she doesn't understand why, because there's something unspoken in his being that tells her she can surrender without being destroyed. And that is what the feminine is starving for in today's world. Not another man trying to fix her, not another man trying to impress her, not another man explaining his goals and quoting alpha slogans from Instagram, but a man who is calm, not because life is perfect, but because his center is untouched. And the man who is calm in a chaotic world is irresistible. In this modern culture of noise and distraction, of men constantly seeking approval, performing for love, chasing attention, and overexerting to earn affection, the man who pulls back into his own stillness stands out like fire in a cave, and she will notice, because that kind of energy is rare. Real energy, not forced, not acted, not pretended, but cultivated, earned through discipline, solitude, struggle, through the work you do when no one is watching, when you say no to short-term dopamine and yes to long-term self-respect, when you choose focus over comfort, clarity over chaos, purpose over pleasure. And that energy doesn't come from words. It comes from your choices, your rituals, your habits, your relationship with pain, your response to resistance. Women aren't waiting for more conversation. They're waiting for men to reclaim their edge. And you don't reclaim that by talking about it. You reclaim it by becoming it. Start moving through life like a man who knows what he brings to the table, like a man who doesn't flinch under pressure, like a man who's not fazed by silence or delay, rejection or misunderstanding, because when she senses that kind of man, her body reacts before her mind can stop it. Her guard drops, her curiosity rises, and suddenly she finds herself wondering why you're not chasing her, why you're not folding into her charm, why your eyes are looking through her instead of at her. And that curiosity breeds attraction, and attraction breeds tension, and tension is what makes her crave. Not comfort, not safety, not sweet words or soft validation, but tension, polarity, that electrifying imbalance that says, I don't need you, but I see you. And if you want to start embodying this, stop pouring your energy outwards to impress and start pouring it inward to build. Build your body without announcing it. Build your finances without flashing them. Build your mind without bragging. And from that quiet building, a fire will emerge that can't be ignored. Go sit in silence until you stop fidgeting. Go stare at discomfort until you stop blinking. Go deny yourself the easy path until the hard one becomes home. And in that place, your energy will change, your voice will lower, your breath will slow, your gaze will sharpen, and the moment you enter a room, she will know, not because you're trying, but because you're being, and she's not choosing the one who tries hardest. She's choosing the one who doesn't have to try at all. Number 3. Status is subconscious. She doesn't consciously know why she's pulled toward him, but she is. And it's not because of what he says, or the car he drives, or the logo on his shirt, or the number in his bank account. It's because of what she feels when he walks in. It's in her bones, in her blood, in her most primal instincts. This is not some surface-level attraction. This is ancestral-level hardwiring. And the truth is brutal. She's wired to respond to power. And power is not what you tell her you have. Power is what your presence makes her feel without explanation. Have you ever stood in front of a woman and felt her start to emotionally check out? Not because you said something wrong, but because she couldn't feel anything real from you. No certainty, no direction, no grounded masculinity, just noise, approval seeking, and a silent plea to be liked. That's what low status feels like to her nervous system. It's not about how much you make, it's about how much of yourself you own. Because status is not defined by stuff, it's defined by self-respect. And in today's world where most men don't even control their emotions, their time, or their habits, true status is not just rare, it's nearly extinct. And that's why she sleeps with the man who moves like he doesn't need anyone's permission, like he already knows his value, like he already conquered something deeper than her attention, himself. Status lives in how you carry your shoulders, in how you make eye contact, in how you say no without guilt, in how you walk away from disrespect without drama, in how you never lower your standards to get affection, in how you lead your life without asking for followers. If you want to be high status, you don't need to chase riches. You need to build the discipline that creates it, and that starts with waking up early when no one's watching, showing up strong when no one expects you to, moving in silence while the world's distracted, and refusing to break your code just because she's beautiful. Because the moment she senses you'll trade your soul for her curves, you become just another man pretending to be powerful, when the truly powerful ones don't flinch. Think about it. Why does she sleep with that man who barely said a word at the party? Why does she orbit him, even though he didn't compliment her, didn't chase her, didn't ask her what her favorite color was or where she sees herself in 5 years? It's because he had status, not the social kind, not the celebrity kind, but the internal kind, the rarest kind, the kind that radiates without Wi-Fi, without filters, without trying. You want her attention. Stop trying to impress. Start building presence. You want her respect. Stop talking about your goals. Start walking like a man who already achieved them. You want her body. Stop buying her things. Start becoming someone she fears losing. Women don't fantasize about followers or Ferraris. They fantasize about the man who could have anyone, but chooses no one carelessly, who gives his attention like it's sacred, who doesn't entertain nonsense, who's so deeply aligned with his purpose that even her beauty isn't enough to distract him. And the reason most men never feel this kind of power is because they gave it away too early, for likes, for sex, for temporary approval, for a feeling of being enough, when the truth is, you already were enough, but you never built the strength to hold it. And that strength is built in silence when no one's clapping, when the grind is invisible, when your name isn't known, but your mission is louder than the world's applause. She sleeps with the man whose name she whispers to herself at night because she can't figure him out. Not because he plays games, but because he has one, and his game is mastery, not manipulation. His energy says, I'm going somewhere, and if you're not aligned with that, step aside. She rejects the man who acts like she's the destination and sleeps with the man who already has one, because status is not about what you post, it's about what you practice. It's about how you look at yourself when you're alone. It's about how your presence hits without needing to speak. And every time you think you need more money or more charm or more followers to win her, you're missing the point. She's not waiting for someone who can afford her. She's waiting for someone who can lead her, someone who doesn't need her to feel like a man, someone who sees her as an addition, not an identity, someone who lives by code, not convenience. And if you're not that yet, start now. Rebuild everything. Cut out the lies, the laziness, the victimhood, the validation chasing, the fake masculinity built on quotes and no action, and step into the version of yourself that doesn't talk status, but embodies it, because in a room full of loud men, trying to be seen, the one she wants is the one who's too focused, building a legacy to care who's watching. Number 4, emotional self-control. A woman may be attracted to your looks, your voice, your presence, but she only surrenders to the man who can control himself, because emotional self-control is not a soft skill, it's a silent dominance. And in today's world filled with men who flinch, explode, over-explain, apologize for their masculinity, and break down the second they feel something uncomfortable, the one who doesn't get rattled, who stays composed, who holds his ground like granite, that man becomes unforgettable to her. Have you ever felt yourself spiral after she pulled away? Have you ever sent that second message she didn't reply to because you needed her validation just to feel stable again? That wasn't love. That was emotional dependence. And dependence is repulsive to her primal instincts. She doesn't want to mother you emotionally. She wants to feel like you are stronger than her storms, stronger than your own. And until you become that man, she can't trust your leadership, because if your mood swings with hers, if your voice shakes when you disagree, if your anger explodes when you're misunderstood, she sees a boy in a man's body, and her attraction turns to fear, not the kind that ignites, but the kind that warns, because she knows deep in her core. If you can't master yourself, you can't protect her from anything. Emotional self-control isn't coldness. It's the difference between being a man of reaction and a man of direction, and most men have no direction because their emotions run them. They smile when they're dying inside. They rage when they're unsure. They sulk when they're rejected. And she sees all of it, not just with her eyes, but with her body, her intuition, her instincts. And those instincts are telling her whether you can lead her, or if she'll have to carry the weight of your unhealed emotional chaos. You think she left you because she wanted someone taller or richer, but it was when you flinched, when you couldn't hold your line in a hard conversation, when you begged for attention instead of holding your own energy, when you collapsed after a simple misunderstanding. That's when she lost the trust, the respect, the desire. You don't need to be emotionless, but you need to be unmoved by the need to express every feeling that passes through you like it's your identity. Because the most powerful man is not the one who suppresses, it's the one who chooses when and where to let emotion flow. And most importantly, who never uses emotion to manipulate, control, or gain sympathy. When she sees you angry but calm, firm but respectful, hurt but not needy, assertive but centered, something in her body responds. It says, "This is a man I can trust when everything goes wrong." And that's the difference between getting access to her body or access to her loyalty. Today's relationships are breaking because too many men enter them without emotional training. They don't meditate, they don't reflect, they don't sit in silence long enough to hear themselves. They drown discomfort in dopamine, run from rejection into addiction. They chase women to distract themselves from the war within, and every time they lose control, they destroy attraction in real time. Your job isn't to be perfect. Your job is to be aware. Aware of when you're about to speak from ego instead of clarity. Aware of when your nervous system is hijacking your actions. Aware of when you're about to react just to feel powerful again. Because real power isn't reaction, it's restraint. And the moment you can pause, breathe, and make a choice instead of a compulsion, that's when she starts looking at you differently. She's watching your tone, your posture, your breath. She's listening for silence between your words, watching for whether you interrupt her, gaslight her, try to win with volume, or hold the line with calm fire. And when she sees you hold your emotional frame in the middle of her own emotional storm, she feels something she rarely feels in today's culture. Safe. And when a woman feels safe in your masculinity, she melts, she opens, she softens, she trusts, she gives, she surrenders. Not because you made her, but because you gave her a structure strong enough to rest in. If you want that kind of power, train yourself for discomfort. Make silence your strength. Make boredom your training ground. Go to the gym not to show off, but to discipline your emotions. Build your body so your mind can lead. Journal every day until you know exactly where your pain lives. Sit in stillness long enough to know the difference between impulse and insight. And most of all, catch yourself in the moment. When you want to send that desperate message, pause. When you want to lash out at someone you love, pause. When you feel triggered by something small, breathe and ask yourself, is this who I am, the wound, or is this just a wound that hasn't healed? Because every time you pause, you build your frame brick by brick, and she sees it, even if she doesn't say it. Because women don't fall for chaos. They fall for command, the kind of command that isn't shouted but felt, the kind of command that says, I can feel this emotion and still choose who I am. And that's the man she sleeps with, not the one who makes her feel good for a moment, but the one who makes her feel safe for a lifetime. Number 5. She feels your frame. The moment you engage with her, she's not just listening to your words or looking at your appearance. She's feeling the invisible walls of your identity. She's scanning your frame, and if you don't even know what that word means, it's time you stop chasing women and start rebuilding yourself from the inside out, because frame is everything. Frame is the unshakable structure that holds your energy, your standards, your values, your vision. And the second you compromise that to win her favor, to avoid her disapproval, to chase her affection, to earn her love, you've already lost her. Not later, immediately, because a woman may not be able to define what frame is, but she feels it in every second of your interaction. She feels it when you make eye contact and hold it without tension, when you speak without over-explaining, when you listen without reacting, when you say no and don't flinch, when you move through life without adjusting your behavior to her moods, and when you do the opposite, when you fold, when you seek validation, when you over-apologize, when you walk on eggshells. Her attraction begins to die in silence, and most men don't even realize it's happening. They think they're being considerate, sensitive, emotionally available, and all they're doing is smothering the very thing that made her feel feminine in the first place, your masculine containment. And that's what frame is. It's containment. And if you've ever watched her sleep with a man who wasn't better looking, didn't have more money, didn't even treat her as nicely as you did, and wondered why, it's because he had frame and you didn't. He didn't adapt himself to her chaos. He didn't try to please her when she was erratic. He didn't get pulled into her emotions. He stood still. The man held his position. He made her feel something most men can't. Safe inside his structure. And this isn't theory, this is real. This is the reason a woman can go from adoring you to ignoring you in 1 week, because you shifted your frame without even noticing. You bent to avoid conflict. You softened your tone when you should have stood your ground. You stayed when you should have walked away. You tolerated disrespect because you were afraid of losing access to her body, and what you lost instead was her respect. And without that, you can forget attraction, intimacy, and emotional loyalty. Because when a woman doesn't respect your frame, she doesn't trust your strength. And if she doesn't trust your strength, she can't surrender to you no matter how much she wants to. Have you ever been in a situation where she pulled away emotionally and you tried harder, texted more, chased, explained, apologized, got softer hoping she'd come back? That wasn't love. It was frame collapse, and it guaranteed the opposite of what you wanted. Because the more you break your identity for someone else, the more invisible you become to their desire. And it happens fast, especially in modern relationships, where women are constantly surrounded by weak men performing for affection, drowning her in attention, losing their integrity the moment she withholds validation. And you only become visible in that sea of noise when you refuse to play that game, when you stop folding, when you start leading, when you make it clear with your energy, not your words, that your frame is not negotiable. She sleeps with the man whose frame she can test and fail to break. The one who can hear, "I'm not happy," and not get emotional, not overreact, not jump to apologize for things he didn't do, not immediately shift himself into a character just to make her feel better. He listens calmly, and if what she says makes sense, he adjusts with authority. But if it's manipulation, projection, or emotional confusion, he lets it pass like wind, unmoved, because he knows exactly who he is, and she feels that, like gravity, like oxygen, like a weight she can finally relax under. Frame is not just about holding your opinions, it's about holding your center in the storm. And when you can do that, when you can hold your tone, your pace, your gaze, your standards, no matter how intense her emotions get, You become the man, not just a man, but the one she thinks about when she's alone, the one she compares others to, the one who makes her feel small in the most delicious way because her feminine can finally melt into your masculine, and that contrast is the foundation of polarity, and polarity is what makes her crave you, chase you, obsess over you, because you're not reacting to her, you're containing her, guiding her, giving her something real to trust. And this is rare today because men are being taught to over-explain, to seek mutual understanding through endless emotional compromise, to avoid being too harsh or too assertive. And it's killing attraction, it's feminizing men, it's confusing women, it's destroying chemistry at its roots, because the one thing she needs most is the one thing society is telling you to let go of, your unapologetic, unwavering masculine frame. And if you've lost it, you can get it back. But it takes work, it takes pain, it takes boundaries, it takes solitude, it takes saying no, even when it costs you pleasure. It takes walking away from women who don't value you. It takes rebuilding your body, sharpening your mind, upgrading your environment, cutting off distractions, detoxing from comfort, getting clear on what you stand for, and then holding it no matter who's watching. And once you start doing that, your presence will change, your voice will change, your movements will change, your energy will change. And the moment she steps into your presence, she'll feel it. She won't understand why her body tenses, why her eyes dilate, why her words slow down, but you will, because now she's in the presence of a man who owns his frame, and when a man owns his frame, a woman either softens into it or leaves. And if she leaves, you don't chase, because you never needed her to be full. You were full before she arrived. Number 6, she rewards detachment. She's not drawn to the man who begs, who clings, who attaches himself to her every response like his self-worth depends on it. She's drawn to the man who could walk away at any moment and still sleep like a lion, because detachment isn't about not caring, it's about not needing. And there's nothing more intoxicating to a woman than a man who wants her but doesn't need her, a man who chooses her but doesn't chase her, a man who would enjoy her presence but will never let her presence define his purpose. And in today's world of over-validation, thirst traps, dating apps, and endless DMs, filled with men trying to prove their worth to a woman who hasn't earned a second of their time, the man who is detached becomes a threat to her illusion of control, and that threat is what excites her, what pulls her closer, what makes her think about him at night while ignoring dozens of other men who were nicer or more available or more consistent, but never triggered that deep, primal curiosity in her soul that says, why does he feel so free? Because detachment is the energy of freedom, and freedom is the ultimate status symbol in a world full of men enslaved to desire, ruled by emotion, addicted to her replies, her attention, her validation, her body, and she knows exactly which one you are within minutes, even seconds of interaction. Have you ever met a woman who seemed interested one day and cold the next, and your first reaction was to pursue harder, text faster, double down on affection to win her back? That was the moment you gave up your detachment and with it your power, because your emotional impulse told her everything she needed to know, that she was your center, your source, your goal, and that made you predictable, accessible, tame, and worse than all of it, replaceable. She rewards the man who doesn't collapse into her, who doesn't orbit her mood swings, who doesn't rearrange his values when she gets distant, because that kind of man becomes rare, and anything rare becomes valuable, not just in her mind, but in her biology. Because a woman is wired to seek leadership, strength, and emotional independence, and when you show her that her absence won't disturb your rhythm, won't disrupt your grind, won't unseat your clarity, she becomes curious, even fascinated, and that curiosity is where desire begins. The detached man isn't heartless, he's just sovereign. He's built himself in solitude, sharpened his discipline, weathered his storms, and no matter how attractive she is, no matter how seductive her presence may be, she will never be more powerful than his mission. And if she threatens that mission, he leaves without hesitation, not as a power play, but as a standard, because his life doesn't bend to accommodate fleeting attention. And that energy, that posture, that certainty is what women reward with submission, because it tells them, you're invited, but never needed. And every time she tries to test his patience, his frame, his identity, he doesn't panic, he doesn't perform, he doesn't engage. He just pauses, breathes, watches, and decides. Because that's what a leader does. He doesn't react emotionally. He responds intentionally. And that intentionality is what makes her feel safe, even when she doesn't like what he decides. Because deep down she knows that a man who can walk away is a man who has options. And a man with options is a man who isn't trapped. And a man who isn't trapped is dangerous. In the best way. Have you ever noticed that the man she kept coming back to wasn't the one who sent flowers when she was angry, but the one who said, I understand, take care, and meant it? That wasn't coldness, that was a boundary, and boundaries are where women feel most attracted, not to the boundary itself, but to the man behind it, the one who won't betray himself just to keep her from leaving, because she's not looking for control. She's looking for containment, and containment only exists when your self-respect outranks your desire. And the moment you can master that equation, you flip the dynamic. She starts chasing you, not because you're playing games, but because you've become the game. And in a world full of men handing out attention like candy on Halloween, your silence, your mystery, your absence becomes addictive. And the deeper truth is this. If your heart is on the line every time she texts late or takes long to reply, you haven't done the work, because when you've really built yourself, when you've invested time, pain, and discipline into your life, you realize that her affection is not the reward. You are. And when she senses that, when she feels that she's entered the presence of a man who actually values himself more than he values her approval, she responds with curiosity, with submission, with attraction that goes beyond looks or charm or money, because it's rare, and rarity is irresistible. You want to start living like that? Stop making her the center of your emotional world. Stop answering instantly. Stop giving access to every thought and feeling you have. Stop canceling plans for her flakiness. Stop saying, it's okay, when she disrespects your time, and start showing restraint. Start enforcing silence where there's inconsistency. Start focusing more on the gym than the chat. Start giving energy to your goals and watching how fast she starts respecting you. Not just liking you, respecting you, because detachment isn't about pretending to be strong. It's about becoming so focused on your purpose that nothing derails you. And when she meets a man like that, she sleeps with him not because of what he gives her, but because of what his energy awakens in her. A longing to feel led, not entertained. A craving to feel held, not obsessed over. A hunger to be chosen by someone who didn't need to. And that kind of man is unforgettable, unshakable, unbothered, and undeniably the one she rewards with everything the others begged for and never got. If you were raised to believe being good was enough, I understand your pain. If you were taught to give more, explain more, be patient, be soft, I know you feel invisible, but the truth is, she doesn't respond to good. She responds to grounded. She doesn't want a savior. She wants a mirror of strength. You were never rejected because you were ugly or broke or not funny enough. You were rejected because your energy screamed, please like me, instead of, I already like myself. The moment you shift from seeking her to leading yourself, everything changes. She'll feel it. The world will feel it. You will feel it. Comment, no more illusions, if this hit home for you. If you want more content that slaps you into clarity instead of rocking you to sleep, support this channel. When you support this movement, you don't just help yourself. You help someone out there who's silently losing hope, repeating mistakes, and feeling alone. Help us give power back to those who were trained to give it away.